This video was brought to you by Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Well, hello friends, here we are yet again with another episode of Lost Japanese Media, a series where I shed light on some media of Japanese origin that is, in fact, lost. For this episode, I wanted to illuminate pieces of lost media that lacked attention in the English-speaking world because, language barrier, and therefore did a little more digging than I did in the previous videos. I also opened up an email address where I'm taking requests for Lost Japanese Media. Please, only Lost Japanese Media, no lost dubs or anything localized or stuff like that. The email is right here on the screen if you would like to send me a suggestion, and I may put it in a future video. I got some pretty interesting topics curated for this one, so let's not waste any more time and get this video in motion. The many lost releases of the record labels Trigger Label, Trip Out Tapes, and Trinity Label. Kazunao Nagata is a DJ, synthesizer player, engineer, and producer. He's also known for founding the electronic music-oriented record label Transonic Records and later on EXT Records. He plays an important role in the techno-trance scene of Japan, that much is at least clear. This information is important to note because prior to / alongside his founding of Transonic in 1994, Nagata made 3 other record label attempts between 1990 and 1995. These are Trigger Label, Trip Out Tapes, and Trinity Label. These labels provided a platform for a lot of musicians, most notably people who would go on to later work on video game soundtracks. The most notable example includes Tomomori Sawada, who later worked on games in the Jet Set Radio and Sonic the Hedgehog series. Notable details about the release across these 3 small labels are that the music distributed through them only saw a release on cassette tape with very few quantities being made. There was also a single VHS release through Trigger Label, though were likely very few of these made as well. Due to the limited release and somewhat underground recognition of these labels, the majority of their releases are lost. What's even more interesting is that the complete listing of every release of these labels is also lost. The listings on Discogs are incomplete. Now, there is some good news here, and that is that some of the cassettes have surfaced over time. A huge chunk still remains lost, and some we don't even know about may one day surface. Now, the most likely action to take with this search would be to just contact Kazunao Nagata, right? Well, that's already been done, and he did respond, and guess what? He no longer owns any copies of the works released through his early labels. Hopefully, more releases will surface in the future. Moomin. When you think of Moomins, a comic series by Tove Jansson adapted into multiple forms of media, you likely think of cute and wholesome imagery. Maybe a little sass and quotable remarks, but happy stuff nonetheless. Not Moomin with a gun. Allow me to introduce you to the 1969 anime adaptation of Moomin, simply titled Moomin. While there have been a few animated adaptations of Moomins, this one is best known for its notoriety due to the creator's disdain towards it. See, it took a sharp turn far, far away from the source material. It was pretty much like source material? No. I don't think I will. In other words, many changes were made from the source material without permission. Most notably, changes in character design such as how they looked and talked, like the mouth movements. There was also the less wholesome inclusions of characters fighting, getting drunk, and, of course, the gun stuff. The series ran for a substantial amount of time and gathered 65 episodes between 1969 and 1970 on Fuji TV. The series was adapted by Yasuo Otsuka at the same time as their work on the anime adaptation of Lupin III that would see a 1971 release. The production is said to have been riddled with problems, especially halfway through when Jansson demanded they change to a different production company. Following episode 27, the people in charge of the anime switched from A Productions to Mushi Productions. The anime became a whole lot more tame and faithful to the subject matter from here onward. In 1972, Mushi Productions would accommodate another, even more kawaii adaptation. It's, ironically, the more tame second half of this anime that is pretty much lost. Moomin later received various home video releases, most notably on Laserdisc. The Laserdisc releases themselves encompass episodes 1 through 26. This is all of those angry, gun-filled A Productions episodes. The Mushi Productions episodes have not received an official release. The recovered episodes following the 26th episode are courtesy of home VHS recordings. A good amount of episodes have been recovered, but a big chunk of them still remain lost due to a lack of release and uncertainty if they have ever even been preserved at all. The unreleased X Japan album. X Japan is a well-known metal band that has been active since the 1980s. They are known for bringing that unmistakable heavy metal image to a mainstream Japanese audience. They still perform to this day, though took a short break when the vocalist left the band in 1997. There's a lot of lore to that, it would take me a while to explain it all. Their last official release was Dahlia in 1996, shortly preceding the disbandment and later tragic death of band member Hide in 1998. A would-be addition to the X Japan discography would be an unreleased album that the band had began production on after getting back together in the late 2000s. That is, if it saw an actual release. Yoshiki, a member of X Japan, has stated that this unnamed and unreleased record features re-recordings as well as brand new tracks, about half and half. It's also known to have had a long production period. It took place roughly between 2008 and 2018 before ultimately being cancelled. Yoshiki had also stated that recording for the full album was completed. The recordings of the tracks took place in 3 studios in total, 2 in Los Angeles and 1 in Tokyo. Who knows if this will ever see a release though? If it did, it would be noteworthy in that this would be the first and only album release with Suzune, the guitarist who replaced Hide in 2009. It is really hard to say if this album will ever become public in any way though. The drama surrounding this band is something I could go on a whole deep dive into in all honesty. Frontal Attack. Frontal Attack is a lost track from a very niche shooter game for Windows. The game, released in 2000 as Shusou Gyoku itself, is easily obtainable. And one would think if the game is out there, then you can just take the song from the game, right? Nope, not correct, unfortunately. The song was only used in the 1999 prototype of the game and was taken out for the finalized release a year later. Though, strangely enough, this prototype did see a release itself, however. It was titled Nijian Shusou Gyoku. This prototype was only made available at a small event called Hatoyama Matsuri that was held on the Hatoyama campus of Tokyo Denki University. It was in 2018 when the creator of the game posted gameplay of the prototype to Nico Nico and viewers were able to hear a portion of Frontal Attack. Then he deleted the video 3 days later. To this day, Frontal Attack has not been recovered in full. But now, let's take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor. Tokyo Treat is a monthly Japanese snack subscription box where you can get up to 20 of the latest, most exclusive, limited edition, and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan. This includes limited edition food items such as Sakura Pepsi or Japanese sake Kit Kats, and there's a lot more where that came from. Afraid of not knowing the snack in the box? Well, don't worry because Tokyo Treat provides a booklet inside the box explaining every snack included in the box. There's also a lot of informative Japanese culture that you can learn from the booklet. As someone who loves Japanese culture yet does not live in Japan, obtaining specific snacks and Japanese food is a little tricky. That's why I'm thankful to Tokyo Treat for having my back and curating a collection of all sorts of tasty snacks that last a long time. The variety itself is impressive, specifically when considering the exclusively made Japanese snacks that feature signature Japanese ingredients. Whether you have a sweet tooth or prefer something more savory and salty, there's something in each month's subscription box that can satisfy a wide range of cravings and appetites. I personally love my pastries. Any baked good that's fluffy, chewy, and sweet is guaranteed to win my heart, hands down. No questions asked. The offerings of Tokyo Treat this month definitely satisfied my need for such fluffy baked goodness. I also love a really good umami soup, and boy was I happy to see kitsune udon up in there as well. Also saw this cute strawberry fish snack on social media recently and immediately jumped on the opportunity to try it, while still unboxing the box, as you can see. If you prefer more mild and traditional flavors, there's also Sakurako, a snack subscription service similar to Tokyo Treat that prioritizes the more historic and deep-rooted flavors that Japan has to offer. There was fluffy bread in that box too, and I did like it quite a bit, as you can see. The cool thing about the Sakurako boxes is that each one also contains a booklet that explains the treats as well as highlights interesting pieces of Japanese history and culture. For the month of April, Tokyo Treat's theme is Sakura Picnic with an exclusive Sakura theme box. This month's box has exclusive and seasonal Japanese snacks such as Ame Sakura candy, strawberry and red bean loaf, and Kit Kat banana caramel. The candy and loaf are exclusive for Tokyo Treat subscribers. The theme for this month's Sakurako box is matcha and mochi. There's Sakura Sencha tea made exclusively for Sakurako and a lot of matcha-themed snacks. I gotta say, the tea was among my favorites in the box this month. My other favorites include, of course, the bread. It had a very fresh and distinct matcha flavor. The tea was also amazing and had a very distinct, fresh, spring-like taste that is only describable as something you could experience in Japan. Yet, here it is, in my cup. If anyone out there is also a fan of Japanese snacks, you can use my code on the screen right here, as you see it, for $5 off your first Sakurako or Tokyo Treat. Links will be in the description and pinned comment. Please watch either of these videos if you're unfamiliar with her, but if you don't want to, she was a popular idol in the Showa era who ended her life at only 18 years old. It is speculated that a lot of unreleased media exists due to her death. An interesting find in reference to lost audio of hers was brought to my attention recently via the Lost Media Wiki forums. You see, idols did a lot of footwork in promoting their image in addition to releasing music. Okada was on a large number of radio shows during her short career from 1983 to 1986. Because of the nature of the radio broadcasts, a lot of this audio was simply lost to time. Though, luckily enough, it was the 1980s and cassette tape recording did exist by this point. Due to this, a surprisingly large number of Okada's radio broadcasts were recovered and uploaded online. This is a pretty significant find, and I recommend fans of hers check them out. They're a cool time capsule if you want a snapshot of 1980s Japanese life and pop culture. If, you understand Japanese. A lot of these radio broadcasts still remain lost, and who knows if, they'll ever resurface. Ring Suzune. Hatsune Miku is a Vocaloid. What that basically is a program by Yamaha introduced in 2004 that allowed the user to create music and lyrics to be sung by the fictional anime girl the software provides. There is a variety of Vocaloid software, and each one has a unique character with unique vocal traits. There exists within the Vocaloid catalog one unreleased anime vocalist. Her name is Ring Suzune, and she is lost media. Ring Suzune was announced in 2011 and set to be released in December of that same year. Unfortunately, that never happened, and we don't know why it never happened. Ring Suzune herself came about following a 2011 contest where consumers could design their own Vocaloid. This contest was called Everyone's Vocaloid Project and actually had two winners. These two winners were Ring Suzune and Hibiki Rui. The latter never left the early developmental stages, and a voice actor and release date were never announced. This is different from Ring Suzune, who was cast with a voice actress and had a release date. Though 2011 came and went, but in 2012 a beta version of Ring was released among a very small group of people at an event. And by small, I mean under 20 people attended this event. It was also around this time that the Ring Suzune project was passed on to Vocaloid Next, which was a sister company. In 2014, the project was passed on yet again to a Swedish company known as Power FX, though Yamaha eventually halted the project, claiming a release was not possible due to many obstacles. They never elaborated more beyond this. The only known lost media for this project is that of the 2012 Ring Suzune demo. Who knows how many exist and who even owns them at this point, but I find this to be among the more unique lost mediums I have encountered thus far. I mean, it's a lost anime girl. Noah's Ark. This lost game has become a little more well-known as of late due to exposure in a video by Wang. What it basically is a lost adventure game made for both Mac and Windows computers that saw a release in 1995 in Japan. Discussions surrounding this game initially came about through 4chan, where two links were shared. These links were for two web pages that date as far back as 1998 and confirmed the actual existence of the game Noah's Ark. Also, what's interesting is that these two web pages from this time period are promoting the game in both Japanese and English. This could, perhaps, suggest the existence of an English version of the game, or that the game was partially in English. It's really hard to say since the Japanese version is lost as it is. The game appears to have had nothing to do with the biblical tale, but rather appears to have science fiction elements and takes place on Mars. It's similar in structure and visuals to the game Myst. So, web pages advertising this game have been discovered, but how do we know if it actually was released or not? Well, the game did turn up on Yahoo Japan auctions and sold. The auction came and went before there was any attention on this lost game, so it's unknown where it ended up. We do have photos of the box from this auction though. A magazine article and print advertisement covering Noah's Ark have also been discovered. They feature the release date and some additional screenshots. The biggest find to date, however, is this footage from Digital Boy magazine. The actual game itself, however, is still completely lost. The lost early music of Sora the Troll. This one was another email suggestion, so thank you so much for sending this my way. Sora the Troll is a Japanese YouTuber. The suggestion email I received literally described him as Filthy Frank meets abroad in Japan, and that sounds pretty cool to me. Their real name is Nishimatsu Kiyomi. Prior to his YouTube career, he was in a band called Crab Crashers, and a number of his old songs with this band have been brought up on the Lost Media subreddit. Lyrics to some songs are supposedly lost, though there is one song that is partially lost and one that is completely lost. The completely lost song is The Insecure Hero, and the existence of this one was found on their MySpace page, so that should tell you how old this song is. The partially lost song is called Faith Was in Me. The original recording is lost, but Sora did upload a clip of him performing it live in 2011. There's not a whole lot to this one. Honestly, as far as content creators go, we can often simply grow out of our older works and choose to remove them from our accounts and, move on and pursue new, bigger projects. The release of these tracks is ultimately up to the creator. Anyways, that is all she wrote. That is it for this edition of Lost Japanese Media. Hope you guys like this one. It's been a while since I returned to this series, and I hope the audio's a lot better and the editing than it was in the previous iterations, because I'm not too fond of those anymore. But yeah, I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments. If you have a specific piece of Japanese media that you know about that you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to send me that in my suggestion email that I had on the screen, and I'll put it back up again. And also, let me know if any of these topics I've discussed thus far in Lost Japanese Media interest you a lot, to where you'd like to see a more deep dive kind of thing on them. I was considering doing a deep dive on the Nick Japan shutdown. The X Japan thing also sounds pretty cool, to just do a deep dive video on them as a band and their history. If any of that stuff tickles your fancy, please let me know. It's the feedback of you guys that really gets me going and, gets me to, know what people want to see and all that. Anyways, I am gonna go. I got a lot of videos to work on, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys!